what led to the divorce? What led for you to say, all right, this is it.
Yeah.
I'm out.
I strongly believe this. A person can only love you as much as they love God.
Yeah.
They don't have the capacity to love you because if God is love and they don't know God. Yeah. Two, if we get into the worldly aspect, he was a garden tool. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. When you get in God, it was my fairy tale that everything just gets better. I was going to be happy-go-lucky. Quite the contrary.
Absolutely.
Because it began to attack on my marriage. And I will say, if you're not equally yoked, it will definitely tear you up because the devil will get in. Whoever is the weaker vessel, if you believe in tithing and your spouse doesn't believe in tithing, one example, he would be like, you giving all your money to the church.
Yeah.
Baby, this ain't my money.
What's going on, and welcome to another episode of the Crock Pod. How you doing, babe?
Doing good. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm excited. I'm excited about this episode. We have a special guest with us on today.
We sure do.
She blowing up too.
She is.
She is blowing up. Y'all, we have Erin Fenice in the building. How are you doing?
It's a good day. It's a good day, y'all. Glad to be here. Like, just glad to be in y'all presence. Because, I mean, like y'all say, it's a lot of power in the room. Come on, Jess.
Power in the room right now. Amen.
Yeah, man. Yeah. You have been killing it with social media. I know you say you've been walking in your purpose.
Yeah.
Talk about that a little bit. How have that experience been?
Okay, so y'all, again, Erin Fenice, I just want to say, I have a couple of platforms. And again, thank you guys so much for having me on. If I can say, y'all, brief interjection. Like, I remember the first time, just me and Bro Corey, and I asked him to help me with a project. And matter of fact, it was on the Confessions of a Practicing Christians and my purpose-driven academy group. Yeah. And I was like, hey, Bro Corey, I have a vision for, what was it, the purpose.
Yeah.
It was for a vision board party.
Okay. Okay.
And we had a live vision board party. Board.
Tongue twister.
Vision board party. And like he jumped straight on it. So, that means a lot to me to be able to, grace your podcast as well. So, just awesome. And with that being said, I do a couple of things. I have the Purpose Driven Academy for women. Multiple platforms, Instagram. I definitely pour into men's through prayer. I pour into women as well. Yeah. So all across my platform, it's just being the intercessor that God created me to be, quite honest. And I will say, purpose doesn't come without a text. So again, Erin Fenice is my Instagram platform. All across the board, Erin Fenice, TikTok, and Instagram. Those are my main two platforms.
And we will put her information in the link below. Absolutely. So you guys make sure you go and follow her on all her platforms.
Yes, all of that.
Yeah. So I'm gonna let you ask her a few questions to get it started. Look, I be wanting to take over, but we're gonna share that.
Well, I love that you were saying, before we got started, that you're really walking in purpose, and you feel. And you always exude this confidence about yourself. And you were even kind of sharing just how part of that began to be shaped in your marriage. Yeah. Talk to us a little bit about that. Like, were you confident? Were you feeling very much who Erin is now prior to marriage? Was a lot of that developed during that? Was some of that developed even through your divorce process? Talk to us about that. Okay, so I want to say, I knew who I was. I always have known who I was and what my purpose was from 10, as a matter of fact, when it was prophesied over my life. So I knew what I was going to be doing, but I didn't know how I was going to be doing. Yeah. And so with that being said, long testimony for another podcast, okay? Go follow her, okay? Short version of that. I told God that I would give him my life after he made a way for me to financially graduate in 2014 because I ran out of financial aid in college. And so holding up my end of the bargain because God came through with the come through. I was like, okay. And how that has to do with my partner, it's like, okay, we boyfriend
boyfriend and girlfriend. Now, baby, I got to get saved. So the jig is up.
Yeah.
What we doing?
Yeah.
Is either we going to get married or I ain't going to lie, this ain't going to work out.
Yeah.
And so, when you young, you just think love is all that holds y'all together.
Yeah, that's it. That's all we need.
No, love that's not the only thing you need in marriage. And so, if I bring it full circle, thinking about the person that I am now, I learned a lot when it comes to how to love. That's first of all, because there's so many different aspects to go in when you talk about young, being married, discovering my walk in God. And I will say the woman I am now and the woman I was back then are two different people.
Yeah.
Way two way different people.
Yeah.
And I will say again, part of me dating now and part of me being married is character development. So it was something to learn from all of that, even through the hurt, because Lord have I got some stories from both ends. So I ain't taking over. But what part you want to get into? The married trauma or the single trauma?
Let's get into this. You said about character development. Share with us some of the things that maybe happened during your marriage that really was like, this is gonna shape me in either great way. I'm gonna overcome this and be resilient and have great character, or you could have let it go a different way. Maybe share some of those things with us.
Okay, so again, when you tell God you're gonna give your life to him, the devil be like, oh, we gonna see.
Oh, for real?
Okay.
Yeah.
Challenge accepted.
Yeah.
And with that being said, the Bible says when there's a desire to do good, evil is always present.
Yeah.
And so when you get in God, it was my fairy tale that everything just gets better. I was gonna be happy-go-lucky. Quite the contrary.
Absolutely.
Because it began to attack on my marriage. And I will say, if you're not equally yoked, it will definitely tear you up, because the devil will get in. Whoever is the weaker vessel, it doesn't matter if it's your kids, but your spouse, that's the person that fights with you.
Absolutely.
And so if you're not equally yoked, it will tear you up, and it'll definitely tear them apart, because if a person is not as strong as you are in God, and the man is a leader, and he has to be able to fight on the days you don't feel like it. Of course you're supposed to fight, but if you guys aren't equally fighting, it won't last. Absolutely. So there's a lot when it comes to the character development part, I will say. And one of the things that I learned is, one, I was young back then. So again, I'm much more developed now. Yeah. And so, I definitely don't want to make the mistake that I made back then. Now, when it comes to the things that all right, God, I want X, Y, Z. And, he has to be X, Y, Z. Now it's like, okay, God, the person that you have for me, prepare me for you. Just prepare me in general. And so I know, they'll catch up and I'll run into them. But like I said, it's a bunch of different aspects to go in.
So let me ask you this. So when it comes down to your marriage you was in, you feel like that played a big role, not being equally yoked, in the marriage falling apart?
Definitely. Yeah. So let me go into a couple of aspects of that. Like, if you believe in tithing and your spouse doesn't believe in tithing, one example, he would be like, you giving all your money to the church. Yeah. Baby, this ain't my money. This is God's money.
First of all,
and I much rather not argue that with anyone now. If you don't believe in tithing now, I'm not your girl, Bookie. I'm sorry. That has nothing to do with me. You may be a good man, but for someone else, because I don't want to argue about what's God money. I will say the things that you believe when it comes to praying and fasting, there will be days mentally you just worn out. You need somebody to fast. Fasting rejuvenates you mentally, physically, and spiritually. And as your partner, you want somebody to fast with you. And if you up at 3:00 in the morning, like I usually am as an intercessor, hey, babe, get beside me and pray. Or, pray for me, even if you ain't going to pray right now. And so that makes a big difference. And to those of you who aren't spiritual, this might kind of, but just one story I remember, him being asleep. And I remember the devil mocking me in his sleep. And I looked over and I was like, of course I buried my head under the cover and I started praying, but I knew it was intentional. Like, I got you. I got you. And for me, that was discouraging because, you know, you want somebody that's praying with you, and you definitely don't want the devil to be able to use your spouse against you. And I say, in a lot of aspects, it happened.
Yeah.
And so, you know, a person, I will say another thing that I learned, I asked God, why? And it's like, understand, again, this is Aaron's account. When I think of like why, you know, I'm like, God, a person's heart can change at any time. And if your heart is pointed towards God, and a person, their heart isn't pointed toward God, or it stops at any time, God will pull you out of that situation because it's gonna tear you apart mentally, physically, and spiritually. So you can start off right. An example would be Saul. You know, God, you know, hand chose him for the kingdom, but his heart towards God changed. Which caused God to tear the kingdom away from him. And you, in a sense, are the kingdom. You are the kingdom of God established here on earth. So if that person's heart changed towards God, come from over there. Come from over there. So, you know, a lot of people speak against divorce, but that's just that on there.
Go ahead. Okay. I was gonna say something that you said. I feel like would resonate with a lot of people, especially people who maybe, you know, maybe they didn't start their faith journey at the same time. Maybe one got saved and the other one, you know, was like, there's nothing wrong with how I'm living, or they came into the relationship like that. You know, I think that actually resonates with a lot of people. They really do believe like, okay, they'll eventually get on board, or they're gonna, you know, they're gonna see me in my life with Christ, and they're gonna want that too. And that would be wonderful. That would be great if that happened, but that doesn't always happen. And so you have to come to, now I'm not just saying just throw your marriage away. Let me look in the camera. I'm not saying throw your marriage away, but I am saying off of the experience as well. You know, you talking about tithing, and, you know, I would hear things like, all you care about is that church, you know, or, you know, would get accused of liking my pastor if I went to the church, or, you know, just crazy things that now looking back, I'm like, you know, because I didn't enter the marriage as a saved woman, but I got saved later on. And there were other factors, of course, that led to divorce. But I think that is something that a lot of people can relate to, finding themselves in this situation with their faith, and now they realize that they are unequally yoked with this partner, which makes it extremely difficult. I guess I was just kind of making a statement. I wasn't really asking a question.
I was like, I was waiting on the question.
Where's it going, Jess? Go ahead.
I want to know, and I'm sure, you know, others may want to know as well, what led to the divorce? What led for you to say, all right, this is it. I'm out.
There were a number of things. Like I said, I was discussing with you guys the relationship that he had with God. A person, and I strongly believe this, a person can only love you as much as they love God. They don't have the capacity to love you, because if God is love and they don't know God. And another aspect, if God is God and they don't love God, God is a jealous God. Come from over there. Okay, that's one aspect. Two, if we get into the worldly aspect, he was a garden tool.
Picking up what you're putting down. All right.
Wow.
And so, you know, if God see you being mistreated, he gave you common sense and discernment. He be like, you know, if you fight for it, and again, you know, it didn't just come on one day like, oh, I got to get this up. This is much prayer, much fasting, and giving you a chance to get it right. And after a while, you just see, you know, a person isn't willing to change. You just take it to God in prayer, like, okay, God, what's the next move? And it's like, God was like, I mean, 1 + 1 is 2. What you asking me for? You got 2 feet, move. And like David said, shall I pursue divorce? I got to go. And so after a while, after 8 long years, because I know that God's portion isn't just for me to be unhappy, especially when I'm walking in purpose, because your spouse is supposed to complement your purpose. I firmly believe that.
Yeah.
So if you're not complimenting my purpose, you're hindering me.
Yeah.
And so, like I said, God gave you common sense and discernment. And so I'm like, okay, God, enough is enough, because again, I've been taught over the years, like, you're not supposed to get divorced. I said, well, I guess I'm gonna just be lonely for the rest of my life, because this ain't it. And so I just dealt, because it was kind of a forced situation. It's either stay there and be miserable, or choose yourself and God. And I chose myself, God, and my children. So and here we are today.
And you have two amazing boys. Were they both born at that time when y'all separated?
Yeah, both of them are from my marriage.
How hard was that for them and for you to make that decision? Because we talked about that before. It's hard to walk away when you got them involved. So you think about them, and you're not supposed to stay just because of the children. But was that a challenge within itself to say?
Yeah, let me quit playing. But I'm for real, because I'm gonna just give it to you from Aaron's standpoint. For real, it ain't hard for me to walk away. I mean, I understand the children's needs, but when you understand the mental damage that you do to children when you stay in an abusive relationship, because I had a great example of what it is to be married. My parents have been married over 40 something years. I seen, my mom and dad go through the worst and the best. I seen my mama act crazy. I seen my dad act crazy. But both of them are saved in God. And so because I know what that looks like, I don't want to give my children anything less than that, because I know mentally it will affect them. Because I will say, 100%. Even though my parents are married, there are some things that I look like, I'm like, nah, I don't want to do that in my marriage. That isn't a reflection on them. It's just like I tell my babies, I want you to be better than me. There may be some qualities about me I don't like the fact that you did this. And if you talk to children, they always gonna say they didn't like XYZ, no matter how great of a parent you were. And so as it comes to my marriage and married, there are some aspects I didn't want to bring them into, because if they seen that, then they will think it's okay to do that to their spouse, and that's a no-no. They will think, one thing I will say about mommy is very strong, resilient, money maker. Like, I need y'all to be the same way. I thank God put me in my masculine to be able to lead them, because it's only so much you can do as a woman. But I think there's that perfect balance being a mommy of two boys. It's like, I can't be too soft on you, and I can't be too hard on you. So the things that I went through in marriage allowed me to be able to be firm with them. I give them that mommy aspect, but I also give them a side to where, hey, cut it out. You a boy. You don't need to do XYZ. Certain qualities I have to, check. And to be quite honest, I have to check them when it comes to their attitude, because little boys. Now imagine if you're in a marriage and they see the things that go on. That's the negative aspect. They would think it's okay, and then they would think it's okay to book up at me, and no sir.
And it's not.
We're not gonna do that.
It's definitely not okay.
So I definitely want a healthy relationship, for them, and them to see what it looked like I grew up in. And so again, when I said I left for them too, because no, I'm not just staying because it's the right thing to do. And I will say this too, a lot of people get in marriage and they get married just to say they marriage. It's not about the marriage. It's about the relation as far as it comes to purpose. Again, the person that you marry is supposed to complement your purpose, and they help you walk in purpose. Of course you will have differences, but you'll be able to tell, because that person won't be able to handle your success. And that's why I said going into this aspect of it.
That's good.
When it comes to my success, and as you guys know, like you said, I've been rising, and I'm not saying that out of, hey, I'm rising. No, I'm saying it as a God gave me this purpose, and I know my purpose. And when you know your purpose, God is raising you up to a standard, and there's a certain amount of people that you're supposed to reach. As far as right now, again, I talk to men and women, but one of my accounts, again, my Instagram following is I pray over men. And with that being said, it comes with the territory. Your spouse may be jealous because why are you talking to men? Baby, this is my purpose. This isn't who I am as far as, I don't know, is it called pandering or pick-me-sha, however you want to say it. No, I got roped into this, and I was looking at God like, say, well,
Yeah.
you want me to do what? He said, pray for them. And I was like, pray for them? Baby, I got to go to work. I'm late. Because I was going out the door when he told me. And I did a mental health podcast for them. Because as a single mom, I believe that's the closest you'll ever understand what it is to be a man. Because you cannot fold. You cannot make any excuses as to why you couldn't rise to the occasion. Baby, your world could be falling apart, and baby, they want a snack. Let me tell you how my day went. So you have to rise to the occasion. You have to make it happen. So like I said, there's so many different aspects as to why I want it better for them.
Gotcha.
Now, I want to move into what it's looking like now for you dating and that, but I want you to just maybe take a second and just encourage men or women, whoever may be going through a situation where they have found themselves in their marriage with infidelity and maybe feel stuck.
Okay, so if I gave anybody any advice on infidelity, I would have to say, again, y'all ain't Aaron, because I know what Aaron to do. I'm not going for it anymore. I've been through too much. Okay, but I will always say, for real, on a serious tip, to take it to God, because some things are flaws in their character, and some things, of course, the enemy will always bring things to, because I will say, just because you marry, your eyes, they're your flesh, and your flesh and your spirit is always in conflict with one another. You don't cease to not be able to see people.
I want to let us get into actually your dating life now and what that's looking like, but I really want to ask you to kind of just share any advice or encouragement for someone who may feel stuck in this place of, my spouse is doing this repeat offense against me, but I feel stuck in this marriage. I'm not sure how to move forward. I'm not sure how to get out of here. I need the strength of God, but I'm really tussling with it right now.
So I will say, from previous experience, sometimes, again, like I was telling you before about the expedited prayer.
Yeah.
Whenever you go to God in prayer, he will confirm or deny. And if you have a relationship with God, whether he talk to you just like me and you sitting here, or he give you supernatural signs, he's going to let you know that you're supposed to be with that person. So my first bit of advice would be to go to God in prayer. And when he says go, if he tells you to go, don't think about, I don't have this, or okay, God, what I'm gonna do about this? Because the thing about when God snatches you out of trouble, he always creates provision. And he tells you not to look back. I remember what's the Lot's wife, when she looked back when he was snatching them clean out of chaos. If you look back, you turn assault. Don't look back. So pray that prayer and pray that God expedites that prayer. And when it comes to strength, let me just say this. A lady just, on my, again, I have multiple platforms, and she wrote me and she was telling me, I'm having a time with my marriage, and, I need the strength to be able to handle what I'm going through. She was going through a divorce. And so with that being said, she was like, I don't even know if this will reach you. And just so happened, God, I was going through something mentally, and God had me. He was like, look in your inbox. And it's my hidden messages, and lo and behold, she was. And, God, led me to her to pray for her, and I was giving her advice. And the advice that I told her is, it will hurt. And it's okay to cry. I think people get in their emotions and they try to hide that. Whatever you don't correct now will show up in your next relationship, and you'll keep attracting the very thing that God was trying to pull you out of. So you have to heal mentally, physically, and spiritually from the residue of that person. So my advice would be, it's okay to cry. It's okay to not know. That's why the Bible says, trust in the Lord, lean not into your own understanding. So God will create provisions about the who, what, when, where, and how. Now, again, that's just not to say move on your own strength, because, again, if you have a standing relationship with God, God will lead and direct you. And even if you don't have a relationship with God, the one thing about saying yes to God, when he creates those provisions for you, it'll just flow. So this just saying, like, have the strength and, you know, respect and love yourself enough to remove yourself when it comes to your self-respect. Love yourself enough to be like, okay, God, your portion for me is greater, because what you say, exceedingly abundantly above all that you ever asked for. He wasn't just talking about riches when he said that. He mean your spouse too. It is, you know, he wants you in health with your spouse, your physical health, monetarily. He wants you to be good all across the board. So my advice would be to just, again, ask God to give you the strength, and even when you come out of it, don't look back and just keep moving forward. You got this. There's life afterwards, and there's definitely a person. And even if there isn't a person, there's purpose for everything you go through. Romans 8:28, all things work for the good of those who love God, called according to his purpose. So
we're living proof of that moving forward and moving into what God has for you, it truly is better than what you sacrifice to give up. You know, it truly is a blessing. So let's get into the dating stuff, though. Let's get into that. So how long did you stay single before you, like, transitioning from your prior marriage to dating? You know, did you take a lot of time to kind of just self-reflect? Did you jump right into dating? Like, what did that look like for you?
Funny story. So y'all want me to tell y'all a lot of truth.
That's the truth, friend.
All right, so boom, look. Nah, but for real, like, I think, and if y'all don't be like Aaron, let me just say that, because I thought you could skip steps when it comes to separated. If I'm separated, I already knew God was pulling me out of it. But separated for me, I could talk to other folks, and God was like, "No, use this separation time to heal, or you're going to keep attracting the same people." And lo and behold, sometimes I do be attracting the same people, but let me not get ahead of myself. And so I was skipping steps. Like, I was separated, and I'm like, the only thing that was holding us together, it was during COVID, and it wasn't because I was holding on to divorce. Courts had closed, so we signed the papers, and the judge couldn't sign off on the papers because nothing was open. So technically, we was divorced, but not divorced because he didn't put the signature. Wet signature. And so I was, and that matters because, again, that's still a legal binding contract and something that you took before God. And so, you know, I went straight into dating, baby, because, baby, I've been miserable long enough. And so getting out here, you know, dating back in the day and dating now, oh my God, why God, what in the... Ooh, auntie wasn't ready for this. And so, you know, and I ran into some of the same things that I left from. And that goes back into the character development. God was like, nah, you see why it's important not to operate in hurt, because dating now, it's like a shark when they sense blood. You be vulnerable to the wrong person. If you want, you gonna get used real bad. And if you don't have God, it will leave you feeling broken. Like, is it me? Am I not desirable? And I will say, after my marriage, it took me a long time mentally to piece myself back together. I was like, I don't even feel pretty after this because of the things that I went through. But it took God telling me, you always have been and will be worth it. Do you believe that about yourself? And until you believe that and you start walking in that, then you will always attract the bottom of the barrel, because it's like you have to settle. And God was like, who said you have to settle? Everything that you ever went through, no matter what it was, health, mental, physical, I literally have wrote your ending, and my ending is always happy, whether it's with the person or whether it isn't. And so when I grasped that concept, I'm like, I can do this. I can do this. It took a minute to grasp that, to get back into, you know, who I was as the person that God, you know, created me to be. Because I will say too, I was like, God, you know, me walking into being saved, I just knew that, you know, my life was gonna be gravy, and that began the greatest, you know, war, if you ask me, of all time. And I got mad at God, and I was like, God, why would you let me get married if you knew XYZ was gonna happen? Why would you do this to me? I'm over here, and I really was what they see being a good Christian, as my grandma say. I was being a good Christian woman, like I'm over here doing what I'm supposed to do. I ain't even cheat back. Come on now.
Could have, but didn't. You know,
right? God, what am I doing wrong? And I blame God because I was like, God, why would you let me go through all that? But again, there was purpose because it shaped me into the resilient woman I am today. Because now when I go through stuff or I see something, I be like, yeah, this light work compared to what I've been through. And that's not to excuse it, but you know what you do and you don't want. You able to filter through the things that you don't want, and you able to stop it before it starts and not go through the same patterns. Now I will say in dating you'll find yourself getting bored, because that be my problem. It ain't that I settle, I be like, I'm bored. Okay, what you talking about, sir? I was like, this is exactly why I know I don't need to be getting bored. I need to stay busy and purpose, because if not, my mind tends to wander, and they say the idle mind is the devil's workshop.
I got a question for you. Are you able to determine, like, all right, right away, does it take you long to figure out, all right, this may be someone I want to give a chance, or you may go on a date and say, all right, nah, I already know this ain't it. Let me go ahead and let them know.
You want the loudest? No, I'm just saying, no. So again, off top, God give you discernment, know. And again, let me say it, I be bored. So if we being honest, I know off top, but like you said, when it comes to giving certain people a chance, you be like, okay, God, they meet every qualification, but maybe I don't need to be too picky. God be like, no, I gave you standards. For a reason. Follow those standards, because what they say, a person with nothing will help you lose everything. You need to stick by those standards, because it helps to keep you away from the people that don't necessarily mean you any good. Because when it comes to purpose, the thing about the enemy is the battle of the mind. And mentally, if he can get you off track when it comes to you don't feel worth it, you don't walk in purpose, because mentally you're not able to handle the things that God called you to do, or you feel like you ain't worth it because the things that you've been through. And so that's how the devil gets to you. And just like Samson, I ain't gonna lie, I see why Samson, he got tricked. At first I was like, now why that man got tricked like that? But when you start dating, you'll start to understand why he got tricked, because there are a lot of wolf in sheep clothing out here. And you can be like, well, God, he got this quality and that quality, so maybe God be like, okay,
go ahead.
You
want to do
See,
it?
you need a little character development.
You still need some shaping, so go ahead.
And so it's all in the process of making. Every relationship, every situationship that I've been through has taught me something about Aaron, and it makes me tougher every time. It makes me admire the woman that God has called me to be, because I'm far from perfect. Baby, I got plenty of horror stories. But the thing that I admire about myself, I pick myself up every time. And it make me, hold to my standards. Like, you went through XYZ. You picked yourself up from this. And it's no way that you can pick yourself up by yourself from everything you went through, and to think that you're asking for too much. No, ma'am, you're not asking for too much. You have to stick by what you're asking. You're the person who decides, who, what, when, where, when you set those boundaries. And it's important to be in God, to set those boundaries, and you stand by your morals. I will say morals in God, no matter what it is, your integrity, faith, family, all that. When it comes to dating, you need to be able to stand 10 toes down, if that means being by yourself. And I will say, a lot of people are scared to be by themselves.
They are.
They don't, it's hard facing the person in the mirror, and being by yourself means you have to correct that person that is flawed.
Right.
And even me, I am flawed too. Come, I got a real smart mouth because I've been independent for so long. But it's not bad smart. It's just I want what I want. And if you can't provide it, what do you mean? What are you saying? Can you not handle it? And so, in a relationship, you know, it's not that you can't back talk. There's a time and a place for everything, and decent and in order. So you have to kind of bridle your tongue as a wife, not because you're not right, but because you're supposed to be in your feminine more so, and that's what God called you to be in. You don't want the enemy to have a foothold in your marriage because of your mouth.
Absolutely.
So you know, there's you learning humility, and humility is big in marriage, whether you wrong or right. And I feel like that plays a big part in you being able to last, because it's not about who's right. It's about how we can come together as a team, and a lot of people don't.
Now.
Yeah, that's it.
It's not me. It's not you. It's us together.
Right.
You know. So where would you say that you are? You know, men are approaching you, or where are you finding men? Do you do online dating? Do you date outside of, you know, our vicinity? You know, do you feel like there's the type of man that you're looking for? Are they here? Are they other places? Like, where are you going to find? Because the people want to know where I'm supposed to find this man at.
And look, I want to know this too, and you can chime in on it.
Okay.
As women, do y'all try to find men, or do y'all prefer men to come to y'all? Because I know, you know, they be saying a man to find a wife find the good thing. So they be a lot of women expect men to find them. So do you focus on your purpose and
Sometimes
just
you
say,
gotta put yourself in a place to be found.
Okay.
You can't sit on the couch and expect he gonna knock on the door. I mean, you know what I'm saying? So
he ain't DoorDash.
He not in.
From that
Your man is
aspect,
DoorDash, and hey,
Okay.
you know,
you
whatever.
definitely have to be found. Now, when it comes to shoot my shot, I'm not shooting my shot.
No, that I'm not gonna.
That's
do.
what I'm trying to ask. Yeah.
No.
Okay.
That's a little bit too much for me.
Okay.
So I'm definitely not shooting my shot. To those of you who are shooting your shot, more power to you.
Open two shots, but you ain't shooting shots.
I'm definitely not shooting a shot, because in my mind, you know, that's just a little bit too man-like to me. I already got to be the man. I'm already in a sense of, well, not the man, but I'm saying I walk in masculine already. So, you know, to come to a man like, hey, what's up?
Yeah.
Oh, that's doing too much.
Yeah.
And if you like me, you better say it with your chest.
Hey, your polo shirt.
That's the one. So, if you like me, you better say something. If you never say anything, then
we're not gonna know.
Well, I won't know then.
I'm not gonna
Guess
know.
you missed your chance, buddy. As far as places, when y'all find out, let me know. Okay? And make sure you point me in the direction of godly men.
The day that I did not have successful
You did Christian
exchanges.
Mingle?
No, not with Christian Mingle. with dating like sites or apps or whatever. Like it wasn't scary. I thought it was gonna be scary, but it wasn't scary. It was more like weird. Like, there's weirdos out here. Like, there's people that are like really off a little bit in the head, or they're not representing. They'll put one thing on their profile, and when you meet them in person, that's not who they're representing.
Catfish.
So
Right.
but you do travel a good bit.
I do.
Okay.
So let me just rewind for a
Okay.
second to piggyback off what you said about dating apps. I don't do dating apps.
Yeah.
No way. To me, I've never, and I just think that's weird, but that's Aaron personally. Not. So if I see a person, you may like, I guess social media, you know, that's one thing. Dating apps, no, but if you know, a person may shoot their shot through social media, and I'm gonna go look on that page, and if that page ain't matching that walk, no sir.
What are these posts?
No, sir. Please don't be holding up bottles and cigarettes in your post, because it's not who you trying to talk to.
Don't do it.
Not me.
With the cash on the arm.
That what? Them stove pics.
Okay.
No,
Gas station.
And it ain't the gas station. It's what they be doing in them stove pics with the middle finger, baby. I'm not the one.
It's not
I'm
it.
not the ride or die. I'm scared of the. Of the hood, I am, okay.
That ain't
Nothing
it.
against y'all, but me, that's
It.
not my portion.
Yeah.
So you know, maybe through social media, if you shoot your shot, I'm gonna just investigate a little bit, and of course, you run the risk of always running into something crazy then. But definitely never a dating site. Again, I guess it just be in passing. And as far as it comes to, I guess, the people that have found me, again, it's in passing. So I don't know. Like I said, when y'all find out where they at, please let me know. Please.
Yeah.
So I can make myself, what you say, available. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, available to be found. That's right.
We've talked about this on our podcast before, just together. Do you feel like it's a limit or scarce of like good quality men?
No.
Okay.
To say it's scarce out here or to say there aren't any good men would be to say that God isn't good. And I know my daddy.
Yeah.
My daddy is good. When he made people, everything good and perfect comes from God. And I stand 10 toes on that. When you know and experience the goodness of God, you understand that he didn't stop making men.
Yeah.
Or women, period.
Yeah.
The thing about it is, I will say, people be like, I'm preparing for my husband. I'm not preparing for my husband. I'm just preparing myself. And along the way, you'll run into him. And I will say, and this is my firm belief, like, you run into a lot of potential candidates. Sure. God give you, if you stop and look, he give you a plethora of options. Because I'm not going to lie, I could have had a good man. But it goes into what do you want? What are your preferences? Like, again, I was telling you, my portion ain't no ugly man. I'm not that savior. You can't make me settle for him. What do you mean? I know you love God. I know you're loyal. But I have to be with you every single day, and I don't want to have to turn my head and squint my eyes. Okay? I want to find you physically attractive in God as well as, facially attractive. So, when it comes to that, God be like, here you go. What do you think? So if it comes to that, I've met plenty of candidates, but they don't meet the standards. And same for me. I will say, the person that you want, you have to prepare yourself for it. If you want a man that's stacked when it comes to the gym, you do know that man gonna require you to go to the gym every day with him. Come on. And if you ain't going to the gym, y'all ain't gonna work out, because he gonna look at you in disgust, and they really will, like, baby, why you letting yourself go? That's because they're accustomed to a certain lifestyle, and you can't get mad at. That's why I don't get mad when people be like they have preferences, as you should, because my preferences don't come over here with no money. I have my own money that I can spend on myself. So if you're not matching what I'm doing, what you coming over here for?
Trying to flash and use that and try to buy your love.
Correct. So there are many different aspects to look at when it comes to dating. So
gotcha.
We talked about this the other day, like, before I even knew anything about Corey, I did a husband vision board. I wrote it out. Like, I did it in my notes. I didn't like have clippings and all of that like on a board, but I wrote it out like in my notes. Like, I want my husband to do this. I need my husband to do this. I want him to walk like, in this type of thing or whatever. And I had put specifically on there, I was like, God, if I just had to have some specific things, like, I would love to have a darker skinned man. I want him to be taller than me. I want him to have a beard, and I want him to be bald headed. Okay. When I met Corey, he did not have a beard, nor was he bald headed. But I was like, okay, God, like, I'm not, too hung up on that to feel like, whatever. But then into us dating, he was like, man, I think I'm going to shave my head and I'm going to grow my beard. And I was like,
all right, God, show out.
Okay, God, like, show out for real, So even those small things, I there are some things that I feel like, okay, maybe if you asking for a 6-pack and he got 4 and you cut him off, like, maybe that's a little petty, you know what I'm saying? But there are some things that God's like, no, ask me. Put these things before me.
Definitely.
And let me show out, because God showed out. Because even the things I had on my list that I thought was like, oh, this is the pinnacle of a man, God gave me over. Those things. And so I think it is okay to be specific. I think it's definitely okay to want to be attracted to your spouse. You want to be able to look at them and be like, come on, give me some kisses, boy. Like, look at me. You want to be under them. You know what I'm saying? And you want to you want to feel attracted in that way. So contrary to maybe how people used to would feel about that, I think a lot now, I think a lot more people are like, no, it's okay for me to want something specific.
Right. Yeah. I think, if I had to give any advice on that when it comes to the things that you want out of a spouse and what you want to attract, like you said, write the vision, make it plain so you can see God's hand. Mm-hmm. And he does that so you'll know that he is God. Yeah. The things that you want, because the minute you said that and God brought it back to your remembrance, like, hey, you asked me for this. Yeah. Ta-da, I was listening to you.
That was small.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So he wants you to know that he cares about every single individual thing in your life, and I think that is most important for people to know. God cares about the little things. Yeah. When it comes to the things and preferences that you want, you should have a list of non-negotiables. I think that's what separates the weak and the obsolete. Yep. Non-negotiables, you got to be able to serve Jesus. Let me make it plain. If you don't believe in Jesus, I don't care how good of a man you is, you're not for me. Yeah. We need to believe in the same thing. Absolutely. We need to have the same moral standards as it concerns integrity and loyalty. Integrity is what you do when no one's watching. I'm not going to check your phone, but because God is so good, you don't have to. God gonna he's going to show you in a dream. He gonna tap you on the shoulder, and if you close your eyes, he'll give you X-ray vision. Hey, look here, he doing this.
I done been getting phone numbers, street addresses. Just found myself in a place like, how did I get here? And found out things. Like, not with this man. I'm saying before,
previous relationships.
God literally, Holy Spirit would be like, Jess, go look in the truck. Jess, go open this up. Go look in the pants pocket of this and look at this. Random stuff.
Randomly. And matter of fact, the devil will tap you on the shoulder. You think your God good? What kind of God will let you go through this? And he will put those thoughts in your head, because when you question God, you step out of the character with God. And that's how he did Adam and Eve. See, he played too much. He played too much. So there are set non-negotiables. And I think your set non-negotiables, if you need a Bible law, go in the Bible. What I say, love is patient, love is kind. In Psalms, it talks about the characters of a man. Oh my God, when I read Psalms, oh my God, it covers so many aspects of a man. And I think, that's important for, if, men, like, hey, if you need a guideline to go by as far as it comes, knowledge, wisdom, being able to listen. Whenever you seek God, God will just, he gives you visions for your future. He start planning and making you long before you ever meet your spouse. And that's for men and women. So when it comes to guidelines and non-negotiables, go to the Bible. And, I give those people advice in my podcast about that. You can tell God everything you want, but if your will doesn't align with God, it still isn't going to work, because you already know you want a man that's blessed in every single area. And God be like, what that got to do with me?
How is this glorifying me?
You don't want a man of God. You want to gratify your flesh. And again, a marriage is a kingdom thing. You're coming together to win souls. Everything you do is so spiritual. And I think, people negate the fact that, okay, when you come together in purpose, what I was telling you, he might not have gave me my man, because he already know, baby, when I get my husband, baby, that ain't got nothing to do with me. I'm going to live on a farm. I'm going to the country. God's like, you might need to wait, man. You might need to wait a little bit. You don't want to do what I told you to do. And you putting your needs before mine. And let me just say, no matter what you do in purpose, you could be going through hell. Because I find myself mentally going through it, and God be like, pray for this person. And I be like, well, who praying for me? Right. He be like, I'm praying for you. I'm interceding for you. Every time you worship God, every time you talk to God, God is talking to God about you, because he intercedes on your behalf. So he like, I need you to pray for them. And as much as you put out is as much as I'm putting out for you. So y'all, if y'all praying, listen, you want your man, pray to God, worship God, tell God how good he is. He gonna be like, oh, really? Okay, you might be ready.
You know what? I got something for you.
Okay. Because now you're putting his needs above your own, and that's how you know that you're ready. And I ain't gonna lie, sometimes I find myself putting my needs above his, and that's how I know I might not be ready. I don't know if I am ready, but clearly he came in. So God, he is either it's not that what he says, no good thing will I withhold from you.
Yeah.
I'm not withholding it. You're either in the holding area or it's some more character development that you have to work on.
So listen, this has been a great episode.
Yeah.
You've enjoyed it?
I have.
You enjoyed it?
Definitely so many things to cover that we
Yes.
look, we need another episode.
I was just about to say, this is one of those where it's like
We gotta do a part
just
two.
kind of scratch the surface on so many things.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah. So we'll bring you back for a part
So
two.
wait, I have a question for y'all since
Okay.
y'all had a question for me.
Okay.
When it comes to, like we talked about, you guys have been through the same thing that I've gone through and you guys found love. What advice would you give to those who are searching or just give somebody else some hope? That's men and women.
Yeah.
And give
Yeah.
men advice and women some advice when it comes to preparing and also when it comes to, the person that you will meet.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
You want me to go first?
Yeah.
Okay. So I kind of resonate with a lot of what you said. I took a lot of time to just be by myself and heal before I even began the real dating process. I wanted to make sure that my relationship with God was steady. So what I was asking for in a husband wasn't off of my own flesh and what I didn't want to pick somebody that was just the opposite of what I had just come out of, because I'm like, if there was good qualities there, I still need those good qualities. So I had to really just relinquish a lot of stuff to God. I had to heal from stuff. I had to ask him what was my part in the downplay of our marriage. And so the biggest advice I guess I would give would just be take the time to heal. Take the time to put it all before God. Take the time to even self-analyze yourself, because sometimes, especially when we're coming out of a divorce, we like to just naturally blame it. Oh, it was just the other person. But we need that self-analyzation as well. So we're not taking any of, our possible toxic things into the next marriage as well. And then when you get into dating, be real. Talk about everything. Yes, present your best self, but don't present yourself in such a way that it's fake and phony and something you cannot uphold. Be yourself when you're meeting this person, when you're talking to these people, when you're gathering information, and set your non-negotiables and ask God, what are some things that I can compromise on, that I can maybe not hold so strongly that I'm missing out on what you have for me. Talk to God about even those things as well. So that was a lot, but that's it.
And if I can say the biggest thing, forgive. Forgiveness will hinder a lot of your blessings, whether you single and that's going into a new relationship. For unforgiveness really blocks a lot of things that God has held up for you. I definitely want to, highlight that, because I feel like when you go through something and you feel you are the victim, you will blame, that person and you hold it against them. And God was like, I can't give you something else because you're harboring hate. And that's the opposite of God. So forgive me.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
From a man's perspective, I would say seek God first, number one. Ask God for clarity, especially if you're going to ask a woman to be your wife or, take it to that level. You want to know from God that that's in his will for your life and for you. I would say take your time. Get to know the individual you're trying to spend the rest of your life with. Don't rush that process. Enjoy it. Take your time, because a lot of people want to rush and make it happen. And everybody want to get married real quick, but it's not always the best thing. I know it's hard, but try to withhold. And this may sound crazy in this day and time. Try to withhold from having sex.
Yeah.
Because it will cloud your judgment.
Yeah.
It will put you in a position to where you ain't even focused on, what you really should be focused on, the mental.
Yeah.
Make sure that mental is right. Yeah. And just, just enjoy the moment of getting to know the person that you want to spend the rest of your life with. Yeah. And that's it. That's all I got. But if there's nothing else, make sure you guys subscribe to our YouTube channel. Subscribe Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Click that bell right now so you can get the notifications when we do drop these videos.
Absolutely.
Make sure you guys go and follow Erin right now.
Please go follow
her. Links are below.
Yes.
And she will be back to do another podcast with us.
Definitely.
100%.
All right. Thank y'all so much. Y'all be blessed. Peace.